Okay, these videos for this Keyestudio ESP32 board with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are going to get a little more involved than what I thought. The videos are going to be longer than what I expected, longer than what I normally do, because they're more involved. We're following a tutorial of a kit by Keyestudio using this board with various peripherals, various components that are sensors and actuators, outputs. And it turns out that we're going to have to do some actual wiring with things that were included in the kit, like this 1,000 ohm resistor and a 10,000 ohm resistor. I did not buy the kit. I bought the board only. But I do have a lot of pieces and parts that work with this kit. This transistor, I did not know what the various data was on this transistor. It turns out I've got one. I've got an active buzzer like this and jumper wires, and it happens that I've got a package of various resistors. So we've got everything we need. The breadboard, we've already downloaded the app for Bluetooth. This comes after the previous tutorial, which is about LED lights. There's also a data sheet here on the two transistors that they're talking about, which are included in the kit. I just went to chat and asked them to give me the data on this particular transistor. And it turns out that this transistor that I found in my bag actually is exactly what we need. It's not labeled as S8050, but that's what it says, printed in really fine print on the face of the transistor under bright illumination. You can read that, and this gives you the data, which pretty much matches what they're telling us here from chat. All right. I want to mention also yesterday's video I showed resistors. I talked about resistors, and I talked about this little handy device which measures a resistor in case you don't know what your resistor is. If you find one laying around and you say, well, I don't know the value, the resistance in ohms of this resistor, you can look at a card like this that will tell you how to read these lines and figure it out. Or you can just buy one of these handy little multi-function tester TC1, and there are lots of videos on YouTube about how to use it. And then you just plug your resistor in like I showed yesterday and press start, and it tells you what the ohm reading on that resistor will be. Okay, you can see that we now have the code working for this next tutorial project, which is using Bluetooth, an app called Light Blue, to enter strings of letters, buzzer on and buzzer off, or buzz on and buzzer off, which sends a Bluetooth signal to this board. And I've got it wired as shown in the video or in the tutorial. It's a little different because I am using longer wires. This is the schematic or the layout that here's the schematic, here's the the fritzing diagram that I used. Instead of using black for ground, which is traditional, I had a lot of yellow wires, so I used yellow for my ground, and I did not cut them short as shown in the diagram because I'm going to be using these wires for other projects, and I didn't want to shorten them, but you can see that I'm following the diagram shown. Now, I did not realize that we were going to have to use a transistor and 2 resistors in this setup until I actually saw the diagram and then realized I needed to go to my kit and find a transistor. Happened I had the correct one. And the resistors are 10,000 ohm and 1,000 ohm, and those are easy enough to find. I've got packages of 10 and 1. So we've got those correctly as shown here. And it works. I noticed that in order to make this work, I've got to use this UFT8 setting, UFT8 string setting, and the O2, which is the right, W-R-I-T-E, setting for this Bluetooth. There's an O1 and there is an O3. O3, I believe, is receive, and probably later on they're going to show us how to use receiving signals by Bluetooth from this board. You can see there are quite a number of tutorials, projects. I mistakenly thought that this board is called the Keyestudio. In fact, that's the project kit with these components, which I did not buy. I only bought the board. The board is actually called KS5016. If you look it up, if you want to buy it, it's going to be Keyestudio KS5016 board, which has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and we're going to talk in the future about using this to connect to ThingSpeak on the internet, a web page where we can upload data that is generated by our various sensors. And we're just now getting started. This is, I think, lesson number 3. The first lesson was connecting or downloading code which will connect the board by Wi-Fi to the internet. And that's the first lesson. And then we went on to lesson 2, Bluetooth, LED, lesson 3, and what they're showing is lesson 2, and then beyond that, Bluetooth control of a buzzer, which is lesson 3, and there are, looks like 20 lessons. And I don't know what all I need for the kit, but I'm going down to my lab and finding pieces and parts that I need. We're going to walk through this and learn step by step how to make it work. Learn the little quirks and tricks that we need to make this Bluetooth app work, and then eventually to make Wi-Fi work. And again, this is a handy device to have if you want to test your transistors, your resistors, to find out what you've got. I'm told that it even can test for IR infrared signals. I haven't tried it. There are various videos on YouTube about how to use this. Notice also that the code which I got down here, I just copied and pasted. In Arduino, it shows in the serial plotter, serial monitor right here, shows whether we're turned on or turned off. I'm not sure if that is a signal back from the board or if it's just because it's programmed to read that when I enter the Bluetooth. So there will be more.